Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing our monthly check-in video. Today we're going to be talking about everything that I've been watching / reading this first half of the month. And for anyone that celebrates Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys are doing something nice with your loved ones. I don't have anything to do because I don't have a girlfriend. And honestly, even if I did, Mondays somehow ended up being my worst day in terms of like how much stuff I have to do for school, so it wouldn't have worked out anyways. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy your Valentine's Day. Anyway, let's get into this. So in terms of television, I've been watching two things. One, I've been watching Arcane, and two, I've been watching Star Wars in general, but more specifically a bit of Clone Wars, and I watched all of the Book of Boba Fett. Now, it's been really interesting. Arcane was really good. I watched about half of it last month and then the other half this month, and I finished it. And I was watching with my roommates, and it's actually really good. I thought it was really interesting. I loved the animation style. It kind of reminded me of the Clone Wars, but it also had its own thing. It kind of looked like oil paintings, which I thought was really cool. The fluidity of the animation was insanely good. Like, I swear to God, they had to motion capture that because it just looked so good. It just looked so crisp and fluid. It was kind of crazy. But Arcane was really interesting. I loved the dynamic of the characters. I like how Jinx was insane, but also like really messed up emotionally. She kind of reminds me of Harley Quinn or Himiko Toga from My Hero Academia. But she's also very definitely her own character, and I like her a lot. I like that she was like kind of a demolitions expert, basically. I thought that was cool. Her sister, Vi or V or whatever, Violet, I guess is her name, was really interesting as well. I liked her. I liked her aesthetic. It was really cool. And Caitlin, or Kate, Cupcake, I think is what Vi calls her, was nice and cute as well. And the adult characters were also pretty interesting. Vander was such a nice guy. I mean, he was kind of messed up, but he was kind of a nice guy. Silco was insanely cool. He was just so badass, so evil. He was such a G, just like badass. Very gangster. And in terms of the Piltover people, I liked Heimerdinger a lot. He was so cute. And he was very like Yoda-esque, which I like. And Jace and Victor are kind of interesting as well. But overall, the story was really cool. I'm really excited for season 2 because I feel like a lot of the stuff in the show didn't really get paid off at the end. Like, it was still a satisfying watch, but the ending of it specifically was very like, where's the rest of it? Like, where is this going? What happens after this? Which I thought was really well done. But I really do wish that there was more to it because I really don't feel that there was too much finished up. Like, technically speaking, Vi and Jinx's storylines were wrapped up to like completely. Like, both of them had to deal with the loss of their parents several times over, and they met up again, and then decided that they were not meant for each other. And Vi kind of goes and does her own thing. So overall, very kind of finished up in that sense. But like, just the whole story of the city really was just starting, and I think that's really interesting. So yeah, in terms of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, I've been watching a few episodes of season 3. I just got to the start of the Asajj Ventress kind of arc thing, where Dooku has to get rid of her, and she ends up being on Dathomir again, which I thought was cool. I really liked that storyline originally, and I actually stopped because I've been watching it as background noise. So I stopped it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this properly. But then I got sidetracked by the Book of Boba Fett. So I've been watching Book of Boba Fett every week as it comes out. I've been really enjoying it. Chapters 5 and 6 were definitely the best out of the 7 chapters or the 7 episodes. However, I actually like the whole story. If you guys want to, hear all of my thoughts, I did a video about it yesterday, Sunday, which was about an hour long, which is kind of insane. I was only expecting to talk about it for 20 minutes, but it ended up being an hour, so that is what it is, right? So yeah, the structure of it was confusing. But if you look at it as, 3 separate entities, 3 separate stages, I think it makes more sense. The first 4 episodes are stage 1, which is the discussion of Boba Fett's past and where he is currently. And then you look at the next 2 episodes as an intermission / finishing up, setting up the pieces in order to explain where Mando is and where he goes and why he shows up And then the last episode is the combination of those two storylines. I think it makes sense. It's just kind of oddly done because most TV shows that are supposed to follow a specific character aren't structured like that, right? However, if you think about it like a live action version of the Clone Wars, it makes a lot more sense, right? It kind of makes sense because, Dave Filoni, which is one of the people that are in charge of this, did make the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars was very episodic, very serialized, but also stuff happened, in one season, and then didn't get paid off until season 3, and you were watching the whole thing, and then you were like, oh, I remember that's happened, in this episode of that thing, right? So it works. However, I think that calling it the Book of Boba Fett was maybe not the best. Maybe it could have been Tales of Tatooine, or, something else like, the Chronicles of the Outer Rim, something similar to the Book of Boba Fett, but that wasn't specifically about Boba Fett, because even though the first 4 chapters of it were Boba Fett focused, 2 of the 7 chapters weren't, right? So, I don't know. Overall, I liked it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. There's some issues with it, yes, but they're really not as big of an issue as everyone seems to make them to be. It's a little bit unsatisfying in the sense that, you expected this more overarching storyline for Boba Fett. However, Mando took over 2 episodes very easily. We can have the, more of Boba Fett's story explained in a different chapter of a different series that makes, this retroactively make more sense. So, I don't know. That's just the way of the nature of the shows, and that's just how it's going to be. And everyone hates it right now, but in 5 years they probably won't care because this is still way better than the sequels, right? So, I don't know. Overall, I'm okay with it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I really, watched every episode at least 3 times. And, once I watched all of them individually, and then one time I watched them in sections, and then another time I binged them. And then episode 5 I watched like 12 times because 8 times, sorry, not 12. Because I love The Mandalorian, and I think his thing was really cool. So yeah, that's what I've been watching in terms of television. Now let's talk about what I've been reading. So I read about half of the TBR that I had, I think. Let me see. Yeah, more or less about half of the TBR. So let's talk about every book kind of individually. Although about half of them I've already done reviews for, but still let's talk about it. So the first thing I actually ended up reading here, I think, was You Got Me Senpai, which was a pretty good story there. It was pretty cute. It kind of has this idea that, this character kind of is interested in this older guy, in this older classmate of hers, because she found that he liked music. And then she kind of got this slight obsession with him that then turned out to be romantic. And then they had a relationship that is actually pretty cute. However, I'm not really sure that, I want to follow more of it, at least not like paying full price for the books. I wouldn't mind doing it if it's on sale, sometime. But overall, I think it was good and I enjoyed it. But it's not something that I will actively collect, in the sense that, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy volumes of that first, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know. It was good, though. I liked it. Then I read Tanya. I finished this from last month. It was good. I actually really liked it. I haven't done a review for it yet, but it's very interesting. However, it is kind of dry. So it's an odd read because, like, you're invested in the story. You're like, okay, Tanya, what are you doing? Where are you going? But then, you're reading it, you're like, bro, this is going by so slow. And then there's moments where it just picks up a lot, and you're like, bro, this is so good. And it's a little bit confusing, but overall, it is really enjoyable. Like, I do like listening to Tanya's inner monologue and inner struggles and figuring out how she's going to get out of this stupid situation that she got put in, because being X or God or whatever the hell the thing is, decided that she needed to have more faith. And I think it's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. And she's also really ruthless. And I find it really interesting how, originally at the start of the volume, Tanya and the main character are separate entities. Like, when he talks about himself, he uses I. and when he talks about Tanya, he uses her. But then as you go through the volume, he slowly kind of starts to merge. He starts to like just use the same term for both of them. So I thought that was interesting because it's kind of like him assimilating to his own body, which is really cool. I liked it. I thought it was really nice. It was a cool detail there, and overall I enjoyed Tanya pretty good. So other than that, let's see. I read a bunch of these. So I read Furi-san first. Furi-san is the full title is No Matter What You Say, Furi-san is Scary, which is so cute. I read volumes 1 and 2. I had already read volume 1, but volume 2 added a lot. It was really cute. This kind of reminds me of Komi, if Komi happened to be a delinquent-esque kind of girl. However, it's so cute, so wholesome, very adorable, and overall very enjoyable. I just like it a lot. There really isn't too much to say about it. It's just there's this average high school boy, and he sits next to this girl who happens to kind of come off as a delinquent, but is actually a very diligent and you know, well-mannered girl that wants to take care of her family because her parents can't, and she's just interested in the guy, and they have this kind of relationship slowly building, and they're really enjoying each other's company, and I think it's really really cute. I overall really like it. I think it's very adorable. Then I reread My Dress Up Darling volumes 1 and 2. I love it so much, man. Holy crap. Gojo and Marin have such an interesting relationship. I love how they care about each other, the way that they care about each other, because Gojo is kind of afraid. He's like, I'm going to do this for her, and she's really nice to me right now, but once I'm finished, she probably won't care about me anymore. And that's kind of like sad, but I also really enjoyed the time I had with her. And on the other side, Marin is just like, no, this guy is awesome. I love him. He's a really cool guy, really enjoyable. I like that he is doing this for me. And eventually she kind of starts to realize that she kind of loves him in like a romantic sense because he's just so earnest and such a good person, right? And it's really, really cute. However, at the end of volume 2, there's this development there of some kind of tension there because his grandfather isn't doing so well. And, other than that, it's going to start to get better. So I'm really interested to see how the story progresses. I actually really want to buy more of these, but I haven't been able to go to my local my local Barnes & Nobles in a while. So I'm probably going to have to do that sometime soon. Then I read Perfect World Volume 1, which actually was really good. However, I don't think that it's necessarily a story that I want to continue reading. I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed that the romantic aspect was a way to also kind of talk about this interesting and very unspoken about kind of subject, which is dating when, people aren't of the same kind of like ability level, if that makes sense. Like, the girl is interested in this guy who happens to be in a wheelchair, and there's struggles to that, and I thought it was really interesting. However, I'm not really sure that I loved the characters. Like, I didn't really connect with any of them. There was one moment where the male character talks to another kid in a wheelchair, and there's this moment of like, man, even though I'm in a wheelchair, I thought my life was over. My life has just begun. I can start doing things and still have fun, even if I'm not doing it the same way as before, which really hit me, and it really made me feel very like emotionally attached. The characters themselves aren't really all that interesting or important to me. And also, I don't know, there was this moment where the girl's like really curious about whether she'd be willing to date someone that was in a wheelchair or not. And she came off super shallow, but I also felt like that was exactly what I would have thought. And it made me feel shallow as well, and I didn't love that. Like that realization, which isn't really a realization because if you think about it for a minute, that's probably what most people would think, just made me feel uncomfortable with myself, and was like, damn, maybe I need to do some soul searching about this. And then, so I'm not really sure that I love the story or not, but I might be willing to read a few more volumes of it. I just need to get them on sale, and on Bookwalker, that's relatively common, so I should be able to buy some at some point, right? But, yeah, that's it for that. Then I took a break from the romance stuff, and I read Rooster Fighter, which is so interesting. It's so weird, man. Imagine, like, One Punch Man, but it's a rooster who also thinks that he's, like, some sort of suave Chad. And it's very funny. Like, it's very cool. Also, the art style is really interesting because it's very detailed. And the monsters look kind of like monsters from Yagan, which is really interesting as well. And, you know, there's this turtle hermit kind of character, which is also really fun. So overall, Rooster Fighter is really cool. Basically just this rooster that has one punch man powers, and it's really cool. I really can't wait for Volume 2. I'm really excited about that. I thought it was really good. Yeah. And then I read Hideout, which was creepy as fuck, man. Hideout is so interesting. It's by Masumi Kagisaki, a mangaka that we really don't see in English very often, but who is really, really amazing. He has a very almost hyper-realistic art style that really still has like some stylization to it that I like a lot. And this story is basically this man who happens to be an author of some kind, takes his wife out to this island for a vacation, but he has decided that he's going to kill her, and then it unravels and it tells you the story about why he got to that point. And it's actually interesting, and it juxtaposes that with what he's going through right now, which then ends up into this loop, and it's really interesting. It's really cool, but it's super creepy as fuck, man. It's very, very intense, but it's very good. I liked it quite a bit. So yeah, that's Hideout. And then I read Beauty and the Feast, which, holy crap, is so cute. It's amazing. It's basically this 28-year-old woman somehow ends up taking care of this teenage boy that plays baseball, and she takes care of him by making him food, and he really appreciates all of the food that she gives him because he really doesn't have time to cook for himself or the knowledge to do so, and he basically just like stays playing baseball all day, and so he just ends up pooped at the end of the day, and he doesn't have any time or energy, and she just needs someone to help because she's also really lonely and sad, and she really doesn't have anything to do. And so they kind of help each other, and there's this kind of slight romance to them, I guess. I would rather call it more of an appreciation for each other more than a romance, but it is so cute and so meaningful. And I mean, it is concerning, right? I mean, there's a huge age gap, but also it really doesn't even come up most of the time. It doesn't feel like there's an age gap. It just feels like, you know, they're just people, and that's all there is to it, really. It's only when you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, she's like 30 years old and he's like 16 or whatever, that it is kind of like a little concerning. But overall, it's very, very cute. I love it. It's so meaningful, and it's just so wholesome and adorable and enjoyable, and I like it a lot. It's very, very good. And then the last thing that I've been reading is Sweetness and Lightning. I actually just did a review for this on Friday, and this one's pretty good. It's a healing manga, which means it's like supposed to kind of deal with certain issues in a kind of cozy way so that you can get over them and stuff like that. And overall, I think it's really good. It's not really something that I connected with personally. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like something that spoke to me in any particular way. I don't have any of the issues that any of these people have, thankfully. But it was still meaningful. It's just that at the end of the first volume, I was like, okay, I'm satisfied. This meant well. I know where this is going. I'm happy with what I read. I don't need to read more. However, I'm willing to read more. I just need to find it at like a good price, right? It's just not something that I'm willing to pay full price for. And that's mostly just how I buy manga. You know, I have a lot of stuff that I like, but since I have so much stuff that I want to buy, I need to kind of figure out which ones I'm willing to pay full price for and which ones I have to, you know, kind of take my time and wait for them to be available at half price or whatever. So that's it for that. That's all I've been reading. That's all I've been watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't really have anything else to say. What have you guys been reading and watching this month? Did you like Book of Boba Fett? Have you watched Arcane? Do you like any of the series that I mentioned? I know a lot of people have been watching and really enjoying my Dress Up Darling, so let me know that in the comments. Let me know what you've been reading, what you've been watching, and let's talk about it. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.